After a wildly successful fourth generation, Nintendo entered 1996 looking a little the worse for wear. The fifth generation had effectively kicked off over a year earlier, with Sega's admittedly disappointing Saturn, and perhaps more concerningly, the massively successful Sony PlayStation, which was already proving a hit with more mature gamers. Despite a much publicised delay, Nintendo finally entered the battle in the summer of '96 with the N64, touting its 64-bit architecture and analog controller while putting a positive spin on the decision to stick with cartridges over CD-ROMs. This would perhaps mark one of the last times Nintendo would try to sell systems on their technological superiority. My name's not important, and neither are technical specs. Games are what's important, and this is... Number 10. Banjo-Kazooie. Rare repeated their earlier success with the Donkey Kong Country series with the 1998 release of Banjo-Kazooie, a 3D platformer in the Mario mould featuring that most desirable accessory for a late 90s corporation, animal mascots. Thankfully, Rare had more in mind than just jumping on a popular trend, and the positive reviews helped the game achieve 3.65 million sales. Number 9. Star Fox 64. After the SNES original blew gamers' minds with polygonal graphics back in 1993, Nintendo decided a Star Fox reboot was just the way to show off their new console's true 3D rendering hardware, and was a launch title for the Rumble Pack add-on. While not a critical darling by any stretch, the game was still a hit with the public and comes in 9th place with 4 million copies sold. Number 8. Diddy Kong Racing. Rare continued to make some bold moves on the N64, once more challenging first-party franchises with some serious competition. DK's sidekick Diddy gets his second headline act, this time in a Mario Kart-esque racer, offering superior audio-visual quality and at least equal gameplay to Nintendo's own title. Diddy Kong Racing earned an impressive 4.88 million sales after its release in late 1997. Number 7. Donkey Kong 64. Yeesh, enough with the animal mascots already. Donkey Kong 64 was a logical step for the series that had started life using pre-rendered 3D models as a basis for 2D sprites. Donkey Kong 64 was such a huge, content-packed game, it required additional memory in the form of Nintendo's expansion pack, which was bundled with the game essentially for free. This added value may help account for some of the game's incredible 5.27 million sales. Number 6. Pokémon Stadium. In 1999, the Pokémon series had become a huge success story on the Game Boy. However, it hadn't really crossed over to the home console until the launch of Pokémon Stadium. Unlike mainstream Pokémon games, Stadium was streamlined down to the fighting aspect of the series, giving new players a casual introduction to the series' combat and allowing existing Game Boy Pokémon players to import their trainers and battle on the TV screen with 3D graphics. While not generally well received, as it didn't really give anyone what they wanted out of a Pokémon title, Stadium sold 5.46 million copies. Number 5. Super Smash Bros. Nintendo doesn't make violent video games, except when they do. Super Smash Bros. Was Nintendo's unique take on the fighting game genre, featuring minimalist controls, 4-player competitive multiplayer, and franchise crossovers, a move that will become a series staple and a regular feature in other competing fighting game series. The first Super Smash Bros. Game comes in 5th place with 5.55 million units sold. Number 4. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. For modern gamers whose experiences of Zelda may have started with Breath of the Wild, this is the first game in the long-running series that might truly start to look familiar. The first 3D episode in the saga, Ocarina of Time shaped not only the Zelda series, but influenced the entire RPG genre for years to come. Arguably one of the best games of the generation, and even of the genre, Ocarina of Time on the N64 has sold 7.6 million copies since its November 1998 launch. Number 3. GoldenEye 007. Nobody expected much from this game. Launching in 1997, 2 years after the movie and even a year after the home video release, the franchise tie-in had to rely on hanging on to the marketing of the following film in the series, Tomorrow Never Dies. Frankly, that wouldn't have been enough. Fortunately, Rare's exceptional first-person shooter turned out to be one of the best games in its class, and offered a multiplayer experience that was unmatched on consoles at the time. GoldenEye exceeded expectations, with almost 8.1 million copies sold. Number 2. Mario Kart 64. If you were a Super Mario Kart fan in 1996, you knew what to hope for from an N64 based sequel. Improved graphics, new 3D tracks and characters, and 4-player split-screen support. In these regards, Mario Kart 64 didn't disappoint. Although some in the press lamented the use of 2D sprites for characters and pickups, the buying public didn't seem to mind much, or maybe even notice. Far more people would presumably have taken issue with the introduction of the series' stalwart blue shell, the bane of many players' existence since 1996. Mario Kart 64 may not hold up well compared to its successors, but it still sold a colossal 9.87 million copies, and in turn inspired a whole genre of Mario Kart clones that followed. Number 1. Super Mario 64. Yeah, you were probably expecting this. If you're going to launch a cutting-edge console at the peak of the 3D gaming boom, what better way to show off your system than launching it with a near-perfect 3D platformer based on the most iconic, popular property in gaming. Nintendo's mustachioed golden child provided Nintendo yet another hit, proving that the public hadn't yet tired of its platforming antics. Mario's transition from side-scrolling 2D to floating camera 3D was one of the more seamless examples in gaming history, moving emphasis away from pixel-precise movement and timing and towards exploration. Rather than turning off gamers who had come to expect a certain type of gameplay, Mario fans instead embraced this new gameplay style, buying some 11,910,000 copies in total, making it the undisputed biggest selling game on the Nintendo 64. And that's my list. Hope this nostalgic trip down memory lane brought back some good memories for you all. If you enjoyed it, why not check out some of my other retro console top 10s? But before you go, kindly do the usual YouTube things if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you next time.